If your tea says 100% pure, you might want to finish this video before your next sip. Independent tests have found popular green teas with a cocktail of pesticides, some even over legal limits, and that residue can end up in your cup. Today, we're pulling the lid off the pure label. We'll start with a test that found 18 different pesticides in a best-selling green tea, and then show you how heritage logos and soft marketing language can mask real supply chain problems. Stay with me, because we'll also name the brands that actually back up their claims with testing and safer packaging. Quick favor before we move on. If you appreciate this content, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 92% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. It's free and only takes a second, but it means the world to us. So did you subscribe already? Great, thank you so much for your support. Now back to the video. You see 100% pure on the label. What they don't print is the ride along. From farm to cup, there's a quiet convoy of chemicals that hitch a lift, and unless someone checks, they make it all the way to your mug. Let's start with how tea actually gets made. Tea is farmed in huge, far-flung regions where rain, pests, and tight margins push growers to spray. Pesticides keep leaves intact, yields high, and prices low. After harvest, leaves move through withering racks, rollers, dryers, then warehouses and shipping containers. Every step is meant to protect flavor and color. None of it scrubs off residues stuck to those leaves. When an independent TV investigation sent a best-selling green tea for lab testing, the results lit up. Multiple pesticides turned up. Some were over legal limits. One banned insecticide even showed in the data. That's not a smear on one box. That's a window into how residues survive the journey and end up where you don't want them. Steeping isn't a magic eraser. Hot water pulls compounds out of dry leaves. That's the whole point of tea. The same flow that lifts polyphenol and aroma can also pick up residues on the leaf surface. Think of rinsing a painted brush in hot water. The color bleeds into the rinse. With tea, your brew isn't just flavor. It's whatever's soluble enough to ride along. Peer-reviewed work backs that up. Researchers have tested dry tea for residues and then brewed those same leaves. They measured the brew and found that certain pesticides transfer from leaf to liquid at measurable rates. Not all chemicals move the same way. Structure, temperature, and steep time matter. But the bottom line is simple. Some of what's on the leaf ends up in the cup. Big brands know you worry about safety. When asked about findings, a major household name pointed to regulations and in-house checks. That line sounds reassuring. Compliant farms, audited suppliers, quality labs. And to be fair, regulators do set maximum residue levels. Companies test to meet them. The system is built around targets and thresholds. But there's a catch. Those limits look at one chemical at a time. Real-world tests keep finding something else. Mixtures. Dozens in some samples. Each one may land under its own bar, yet together they form a cocktail the rulebook doesn't fully address. Day after day, cup after cup, you get small sips of many, not one. Old standards were not built to score that mix. This gap shows up in the numbers. An accredited lab can scan a single tea and flag a spread of insecticides and fungicides. Some align with farm use. Others shouldn't be there at all under stricter markets. Testing also turns up outliers that break limits outright. And once a banned residue shows up, the story changes from paperwork to practice on the ground. So what lands in your kettle depends on choices made miles upstream. Sprays applied to fight leaf hoppers. Drying schedules that focus on moisture, not residues. Storage that keeps mold out but leaves chemicals untouched. Then there's the brewing habit we all share. Hotter water, longer steeps, bigger pulls from the leaf. Those simple tweaks can shift how much transfers. The real kicker is that 100% pure reads like a promise, but it's often just marketing. It isn't a lab report. It doesn't tell you about the 12 or 18 compounds a sensitive instrument might catch. And it won't warn you that steeping can move some of them straight into your drink. Your cup may hold more than tea. Now let's move on to the global giants whose reach should mean better control, yet the numbers say otherwise. If a legacy logo means trust, why do tests in different countries keep flagging residue in their teas? The stamp on the box is old. The supply chains feeding it are not. Now let's move on to the global picture. Flagship brands buy from big auctions and contracted estates spread across regions with different rules, labs, and enforcement. A blend can pull leaves from several countries. That smooth, uniform taste is often the result of wide. Now let's move on to the global picture. Flagship brands buy from big auctions and contracted estates spread across regions with different rules, labs, and enforcement. A blend can pull leaves from several countries. That smooth, uniform taste is often the result of wide sourcing, swapped lots, and last-minute blends to hit a flavor target. It keeps shelves stocked. It also blurs accountability when residues show up. Independent groups have kept sending teas to labs, and the pattern repeats. Greenpeace testing in Asia reported widespread residues. Investigations in North America echoed it, often finding multiple pesticides in a single sample. Not one odd leaf, not a single harvest glitch. A recurring mix. That's a sign of how farms are run, not a random blip. Here's the contrast the marketing won't show you. In the ad, you see sloped gardens, silver kettles, and a crest that nods to centuries of trade. On the ground, many farms still depend on chemical-heavy routines to protect yield and color. Spray logs are often paper. Audits are periodic. And the costs of going truly low-chemical, training, pest monitoring, soil work, don't fit easily into the push for cheap, consistent blends. Labs have flagged residues that aren't approved in stricter markets, and, in some cases, samples that surpass allowable levels. That matters if you're buying in one country and drinking rules set by another. The box can be compliant where it's sold, while still reflecting farm practices that wouldn't pass in a tighter regime. The border is the checkout lane. The leaves crossed it months ago. Experts in environmental and public health keep pointing to the same blind spot. Old limits don't reflect new science on low-dose mixtures or cumulative exposure. Government caps were set years ago and, as one expert put it, do not account for newer research showing that toxic chemicals can be harmful at very small doses, particularly when people are exposed to combinations of chemicals. You don't drink a label, you drink a daily habit. Twists keep coming when you look brand by brand. Heritage names have shown up in findings that question residue levels versus the trust implied by long histories and careful wording. The CBC's own investigation flagged levels that went past Canadian limits and implicated legacy labels, including Twinings. The response playbook is familiar. Point to internal checks, point to compliance, move on. But the test results keep cropping up across markets, which raises a straight question about supply chain oversight. There's also the bag itself. Premium sachets, those silken pyramids, are often nylon or PET. They look upscale, they give the leaf room, they steep fast. They also shed micro and nanoplastics in hot water. That's not compostable confetti. It's a stream of particles pouring straight into your mug. The flavor notes are peach and vanilla. The bonus is plastic. Think of it like a vintage bottle filled at a modern plant. The label says heritage. The guts run on shortcuts that fit the volume game. When tests catch residues not approved in stricter markets, or over the limit where the box is sold, you see the gap between story and practice. And when the bag adds plastics to the brew, you've just layered a new risk on top of an old one. The real kicker is simple. History and price don't guarantee safety. Oversight gaps and packaging choices add fresh risks that branding can't hide. So what is the takeaway for your cart? Let's close with the smarter path. Brands and methods that back claims with testing and safer materials. A pure label isn't proof. The truth is, independent testing and the bag itself tell you more than the marketing line. You control that part. Look for brands that publish residue results, carry third-party organic audits, and skip plastic bags in favor of paper or loose leaf with a metal or ceramic infuser. That's a real filter. If this gave you something to chew on, hit like and subscribe, and drop the tea you trust in the comments. Who actually earns your dollar? Go for makers that show their tests, source organic, and avoid plastic. A simple metal infuser and loose leaf go a long way.